Window Youth, écoutez-moi. Window Youth, regarde-moi.
Hello, we are here today in the first episode of the podcast series Journeys of Care, in which we will talk with professionals that have experience working with young people in different levels, on directing, supporting them, on the level of leadership and governance, and on advocacy. And we'll share their experience and their knowledge. Today, in the first episode, we are here with Jonny. Hello, Jonny.
Hi.
Can you tell us some things about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So, I'm Jonny. I'm from the UK originally. My sort of background is in working with and for and alongside NGOs. I'm primarily with displaced people across Europe.
Great. Jonny, can you tell us a bit, how did this journey started? How did you decide, or how did you enter this world of supporting young people?
Sure, yeah. So it was kind of a bit of an accident. It's something I fell into around 10 years ago. A friend of mine said he was going over to northern France, where at the time, I don't know if you remember, there was the Calais jungle settlement, it was called, which actually grew to a population of around 10,000 people in the end. He said, do you want to come? I'm going for 4 weeks to volunteer. Seeing it in the news. Why don't we go? So we packed a little van and we went over to northern France originally for, a month or so was the plan. 2015, plan was to be home by Christmas. So it was about mid-November. And the need was overwhelming. The need for people and support and material items was overwhelming. And we very quickly sort of found our place supporting unaccompanied young people that were living in the camp on their own without their families, initially just providing some activities, and we basically couldn't leave. There was too much to do, too much need. So we quit our jobs and decided we would stay, and that was 10 years ago, and it's been through many steps and stages of a journey to reach where I am now, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
So it's like fall in love. It was like pop, and
Something
then you
like that.
couldn't go out of it. It was strong, the feeling.
Yeah, it's a strong feeling. Partly we don't want to leave, partly we can't leave, partly, what could be more important than this at this moment in time. And just a lot of opportunity to help, and, not an opportunity that we wanted to turn down. So we kept going and we kept sort of building and adding new elements of the support that we could offer to the children that were living in the camp at the time.
Okay, and in order to have a better idea a bit of you, you said that you quitted your job. What was your job? What was your background?
So I was working part-time for another NGO that was running leadership training and developments primarily in sub-Saharan Africa. And I just had a sort of administrative role based in the UK, something that I wanted to sort of grow within and develop. And I guess I wouldn't call it a career path, but certainly a job or a vocation that I wanted to continue to explore. And so this was in a similar vein as far as it was being non-profit work, but of course, a very different kind of non-profit work kind of required me to shift from thinking about development work, so to speak, to kind of more humanitarian style of work. That's what I was doing before.
Nice. And then you first steps was on the direct support of young people.
Yeah.
How was it?
Intense, a very, very sharp and steep learning curve. I never had an intention of working in child protection or being a youth worker, but I very, very quickly found my place within that, and actually perhaps not having a background or an intentional motivation in that it was beneficial. In a way, it was kind of a very organic transition into just being present with young people and with children and listening and just thinking of ways to support them based on whatever it is they were saying they were needing. And it was really as simple as that, and we did what we could.
Great, nice. And then Greece. What about Greece?
Yeah, so Calais in northern France, I was there for around a year living there. And then actually one of our supporters, a funder, had said to us, have you thought about going anywhere else, doing anything else? They had a sort of growing interest in Greece and primarily Athens and some of the islands. So I came to Athens just to kind of see what was going on end of 2016. And again, huge need, very little in Athens directed at young people. And actually I came and I met as many volunteers and voluntary organizations and national organizations as I could. I think I met between 10 and 20, had between 10 and 20 meetings where I just asked the same question, what's the need for children and or young people in Athens? And I got the same answer every time, which was there is no service or space that is designated just for them. And actually the biggest need seemed to be young people either not being able to get into the shelters that are for children, so for under 18s, and then for those that are turning 18 and being asked to leave the shelters and having nowhere to go. So that's where we came up with the idea to create a service for that transitioning age, which at that time was for 16 to 21-year-olds.
Okay, and so I understand that Greece also fall on you again.
Yeah. Athens is a wild and fascinating place.
Things keep falling on you.
Yes,
and
exactly.
you just like
you just go with it.
Meet them
with an open mind.
Nice.
And following the opportunities to help as they arise and being available for those. That's what we did.
I think this is also an attitude important when you want to work with young people, that you need to just follow them in a way.
Exactly.
They fell on you and you need to follow them.
Exactly, yeah, and make no assumptions about what is needed or what people need or what you should be doing, and just be present and listen and try and match the needs with the opportunities as best you can in terms of what people want to support, what people want to fund. It's a complicated a complicated game of matching the resources with the needs and trying to make it all fit and work. But definitely the first step is to arrive with an open mind and listen and be present and not come with any preconceptions of what may be needed or trying to replicate something that you did somewhere else because it worked with a different group of people in a different location. Lots of pitfalls to avoid. But that's definitely, as you say, it fell on me. It fell on us.
Now, if you tell us a bit about Velos. Now, there's how many years that you are on Velos, on the governance of Velos?
It's the start of 2017 that we really started to sort of put Velos together, so to speak. So that's about 8 years now.
Okay. And can you share with us some of the biggest challenges that fall on you
Sure.
during these years?
I think at the start, the biggest challenge was the size of the need, and being a small organization at its inception point really means that you don't have all of the resources that you need. No organization has all the resources that it needs. We can always do more, but certainly when you're starting out and creating something, a lot of time and effort has to go into securing the resources that you need. And in Athens at the time, there were an overwhelming number of children and young people that were street homeless. And we decided that we would put our youth center right in the heart of that, here in Exarchia. And of course, that means that we were inundated with people that needed our support, and we were a small and primarily voluntary team. So that was the biggest challenge at first, is how we're going to manage so many young people needing to come into what was essentially 100 square meters, a 100 square meter apartment, and how we're going to coordinate that and make sure that we, give everyone what they need and everyone gets the same support from us.
And that was, if I understand well, the challenges you've met in the beginning of creating Velos. And then as Velos evolved, What did the challenges change form? What were the new challenges that came out?
I think keeping the doors open for the majority of small NGOs, keeping the doors open is always going to be the hardest or the biggest challenge. And of course, you have to continue to evolve as the opportunities evolve. And when I say opportunities, I'm referring to access to resources for us to continue to deliver our work. And obviously that changes with a crisis, or what is perceived as a crisis, and at what point it is no longer perceived as a crisis, or for some reason loses its right to call itself a crisis because we all get used to it. And that's just the new norm, and that's how things are now. And of course, the crisis here has always been competing with the other crises in other places, on other continents, and in other countries. So the NGO sector is highly, highly competitive. And we're expected to operate as a business, which comes with its own conflicts internally and externally. So I think, keeping the doors open has always been a challenge. We've had excellent support, but as I say, there's lots of other very, very worthy causes and huge needs out there. So it's always been a challenge to continue to evolve as the wider context evolves too.
Okay, and I heard you talking about conflicts, internal and external conflicts. Do you want to share a bit or wanted to share some things related to this?
Yeah, so I think, as I say, you have to run an NGO like it's a business. And as if the services that you give to young people are kind of like a product that you're actually selling to your supporters, whether that's a foundation or whether that's members of the public that donate and make the work possible. And so what comes with that is the need to put time and resources into things that you don't necessarily want to put them into. And so things such as, branding, social media, these things are ultimately necessary as far as we can see. But of course, we would rather not be using our resources that way. So it is what it is. And us as a small organization can't change the system. And, obviously every organization or individual has a red line that they won't cross, particularly around, communications and what you will and won't post and what story you will and won't share. And are you going to show young people's faces in your public communications? What are they going to be doing in those pictures? What is dignified? What is undignified? We have always been very on the prudent side with this. We don't use young people's faces unless they have explicitly said they want that, because ultimately it is up to them. But we've been very, very cautious with this, and I think it does hinder your ability to grow, because it's our responsibility to humanize and to really bring the issues to life. And that can be really hard when you have a hard line on how you communicate about the work that you're doing and how you protect privacy. So this is an ethical decision and something that we've never had any internal disagreements about. We've always, all of us, anyone who's ever been involved with Velos has always been on the same page about this. But I do believe that it can slightly hinder our ability to grow and get our message out there. That's an ongoing situation that we try to navigate.
Yeah, maybe you can not change the system, but you can question it, and you can leave some comments, and you never know how this will continue.
Yeah.
Now, would you like to share like a moment or an experience that has stayed with you about all this 10 years journey in different levels?
Sure. So back in 2016, in the Calais jungle, there were obviously a number of evictions. That camp hasn't been there since the end of 2016, and something that really sticks with me is the various evictions that happened on the camp there. And I remember watching people essentially losing their temporary homes and having nowhere to go. And it's obviously incredibly painful to not only have lost your original place of safety, your country of origin, and to be forced out of that, but to then have managed to build a temporary structure on a piece of disused land in northern France, and for then to have authorities come along and basically wipe out what had the community that had been created there in a matter of days is something profoundly shocking that I will never forget. And I think something that within that really sticks with me was the protest of people, the residents themselves of the camp, the people that were the temporary owners of these small structures, wooden structures with tarpaulin on them, setting them on fire themselves, to basically say, I will do this myself. If I'm going to lose this again, I will do it myself. I'm not going to wait for you to bring in your bulldozer and smash my house to pieces. I'll do that myself. You're not taking that from me. So I really remember that was kind of one of the darker moments of that year. And, half of the camp was on fire at the same time, and all of the black smoke from all the plastic tarpaulins. It was a shocking experience, but there's some, I guess it's the ability of people to empower themselves by saying, you're not taking this, I'll do this myself. That conjures some mixed emotions, which are quite hard to articulate, I guess. But yeah, that's something that's really, really stuck with me. Ability for people to empower themselves, even in the most disempowering of times, perhaps.
And somehow having a feeling of keeping control in something that is completely out of their control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Quite a moment.
Yeah.
Now, if you can tell us also a moment that was kind of uplifting, but maybe this is not the proper word, as the experience you've shared has inside it a meaning of now, can you share with us some of the lessons learned during these years, and some of the things that you will most probably do it differently if you started again today?
Sure. So I think I said before about the need to always start out with an open mind, and to not make any assumptions about what is needed, and just to really listen when you're looking to create or design something new. So that's something that I've really been careful to continue to implement with everything that we do. I think a key lesson that we learned early on is that things change very quickly. And it would be easy to not sort of be motivated to continue to develop or grow or enhance and do better. when you don't know if you're still going to be going in 12 months' time, or, you know, in 2016, we didn't know if we would be going a month later. There was always the threat that the camp would be closed. And halfway through 2016, they closed half of it. And at the end of 2016, they closed the whole thing. But we still continue to develop and grow and try to meet more and more need and have more people joining our team, more expertise, more specialisms, adding more programs, more services. And we continue to do that now because it's just essential to not let that consistent possibility that things may not last slow you down or stop you from trying to do things better. That's been a really important key learning from me from very early on.
And would you do something differently if you go back now these 10 years? Or what would you tell to your younger self? Now you see him, he's 10 years younger. What would you tell him?
Chill out. Everything's going to be okay.
I take it. But he spoke also a bit about all this insecurity that comes with this funding system and this at the one part idea of providing services that are needed, and at the other part like working as a business, and all this insecurity with the funding situation and the shifting of the funding. How do you deal with this?
I think we've learned to have faith. I don't know if that's the right word, but we've learned to have some faith that the opportunities will come. There's only so much going out and finding opportunities you can do. If they're not there, they're not there. But I think we've really just had to learn, or we've seen that, you know, Velos Youth has now been going 8 years. The work that started in France and that Velos Youth grew out of, it's coming up to 10 years now. And somehow it's still going. What feels like against all odds. So it is a competitive and tricky landscape, and it does require a certain understanding or expertise or skill to be developed within it. But actually, I think if you lead your work or you deliver your work under the right values, then you position yourself really well for those opportunities when they come along, when new opportunities are announced. You position yourself well for them. Because somehow we are still going, and at times it feels almost kind of like a miracle because so much has closed. And of course we don't know exactly why those organizations or projects have necessarily closed, but so much has done, and somehow we're still here. So I do think that, you know, this work was built on good values, and I really think that's a massive contributing factor to why it's still going, and it still appeals to the people that continue to support us.
Great. And now, when you cannot have this very chill and calm attitude, and you are stressed, and the difficulties and the challenges of the job are taking you, what are you doing in order to take care of yourself and to continue have a positive and creative attitude towards your job?
I think I've always tried to use the things that I see or have experienced, the sad stuff, let's say, to just remember how lucky I am, and to have gratitude for everything that I have, and to remember it's a privilege to live in safety, and to have rights, and to have opportunities, and to have had an education, all these things. I just gratitude keeps me going. It's also very easy to feel guilt for the things that we have that others don't have, but I don't find that to be particularly helpful. It doesn't change anything. It's about how do you use what you have and your privilege for something that is worthy and you know and worthwhile. And so yeah, for me, it's about gratitude and acknowledgement of the privilege.
So that helps you to deal with emotionally demanding field that we work in.
Yeah.
Okay. Wise, I would say it. It sounds wise. Now, if like for the end, what message would you like to share with people who are considering working with refugees or supporting young people in any ways now? What would you tell them?
I'm probably repeating myself quite a lot here, but it's all about coming with as few assumptions as you can about the people that you've come to work with and support. In fact, assume that you know nothing, or everything that you ever knew is wrong. That's what I would say. And come and listen. Don't think you can save everyone or anyone. Come and be a cog in the wheel. Offer what you can, learn what you can, but ultimately just be there, be present, and be useful in whatever that is. Just be useful. That's what I would say.
Great. So be useful. We keep this. Thank you, Jonny, for the time and the discussion. Bye.